Welcome to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, here with you once again. We've got a phenomenal show coming up today. Obviously, we've got to talk about Trump's lawsuit against the DOJ and the revelation that there were 700 pages of classified documents retrieved so far this year from Mar-a-Lago. We've got two of the individuals who were plotting to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan. They have been convicted. We've got Don Jr. excusing his father's actions. We've got Alex Jones walking back his endorsement of Ron DeSantis. All kinds of things coming up on today's show. So let's jump right in. Obviously, one of the bigger things that happened early this week is the fact that Donald Trump not only filed a lawsuit against the DOJ seeking a special master to go through the documents, make sure there's nothing privileged in there. But also in the filing, it appears that his lawyers actually admitted that he did the things that, of course, he is being accused of. Right here, twice in the document, meaning the, lawsuit and the other documents that have come to light, Trump admits he took government documents, which is illegal under the Espionage Act and the Presidential Records Act. I'm not a lawyer. I work with lawyers. I am the editor of a legal magazine, but I gotta tell you, usually when lawyers file motions, they don't admit to the crimes that their clients have been accused of, and yet right there, clear as day, there's two separate times where his lawyers admit, yes, we had the documents. The FBI at one point told us to secure them a little bit better, so Donald Trump said put a second lock on the door. That's in the document. And then, of course, they admitted it again when they said if the FBI, all they had to do was come ask, we would have, given them the things that they were after. So you're admitting you did it. And we know from last week, of course, that reports came out saying Donald Trump is unable to attract decent lawyers. One, because they don't want to tie their name to it, because they know how unpredictable Trump is, and if he does something stupid, the lawyer gets blamed for it. They don't want to be a part of that. And also, they're afraid they're never going to get paid if they do legal work for him. So Donald Trump, of course, is left with what I like to call the bottom of the barrel. You know what? That's not even fair to barrels, okay? These are not lawyers from the bottom of the barrel. He had to tip the barrel over and dig down a couple of feet to find legal minds horrible enough to admit in their own filings that, he did it, but is it always bad if he does it? Is it always a crime? But all that aside, the lawsuit itself, depending on who you ask, is either going to succeed or fail. And I know that's a very weird thing to say, but again, it depends on which legal expert you're talking to, you're reading, or you're seeing, their massive threads on Twitter explaining this, because everybody seems to have a different thought on what is happening here. A lot of them say that this lawsuit, well, pretty much all of them say the lawsuit is just an effort to stall, right? That's a given. We understand that. He's stalling. The real question becomes whether or not the lawsuit itself can be successful. That's where the divide happens. Because some legal experts, and I'm talking about all the people, these are all people on the left, some say it's an absolute farce and it has no chance of being successful because the special master would be appointed if they believed some of the retrieved materials, 700 pages of classified documents, were privileged. And that is where another dichotomy breaks down. So if it's attorney-client privilege, then a special master would, in this particular instance, be warranted under most circumstances. Not necessarily all, right? If they're documents that Trump and his lawyer are discussing committing crimes together outside of what he's being represented for, then no, that would not fall under attorney-client privilege. If it is Donald Trump communicating with his lawyer about legal actions, things like that, that is privileged. You can't have those. The other kind of privilege is executive privilege, which, of course, we have heard Donald Trump say some of these things are executive privilege. And That's not going to fly. You're not going to get a special master because you say these things are covered under executive privilege. There's one person on the planet who has the authority to determine whether or not something is covered under executive privilege. That person right now is President Joe Biden. So if Biden were to come out and say none of these are executive privilege, then guess what? None of them are executive privilege. If he doesn't do that, and Trump did claim privilege over some of them, they would still have that executive privilege distinction until the next person in line, whoever that president will be, if it's Biden now or anybody else down the road, takes it away. That's how the executive privilege works. Once it's there, it is there, and it can transfer from administration to administration. But once you leave office, it's out of your control. So if the next person in line says, no, it's not covered, then it's not covered. And then, of course, you would not get a special master. Having said all of that, let me say this, because again, depending on what kind of privilege, it may or may not take effect. Depending on what's in the privilege, it may or may not take effect. Any of that, I don't care. I'm in favor of the special master. And there's one very specific, and I feel it's a good reason for everybody to say, you know what, we'll do the special master thing. Give Trump what he wants right now. Because he's making a big deal of this. So if he gets that special master, all of his followers are going to look at it and say, okay, good, we have oversight. And then, if you find the crimes, having the documents themselves was the crime. If you find it is what you think it is and you can indict him, having that special master there, it's not going to convince Trump. He'll then attack the special master. It's not going to convince the MAGA hat wearing crowd that everything was legitimate. But what it will do is it will convince all of those Republicans who are right now on the fence. They don't know whether or not to support what's happening or to be against it. Those are the people that are going to say, well, there was a special master. They had the oversight. They gave Trump what he wanted, and it still came to that conclusion. So I guess this was real. I guess this was legitimate. I'm not even saying, folks, that you're going to have a large number of people who do that. But even if you have a handful of them, that's more than you've got right now. So why not just do it? Yeah, is it going to slow things down a little bit? Sure. But if you go ahead and agree and give in to the demands of this lawsuit, which I am typically against giving in to any demands of these right-wingers, but if you do it now, you're going to avoid a lengthy court process where nothing's going to be able to happen in the interim. So agree to it today, get the special master, then start going through the documents. You save yourself a lot of time that way. Trump doesn't get to stall it, but for more than, a week, and he gets what he wants. And some folks out there might view this a little bit more legitimately than they already were. That's why I think the special master is a good idea. I do think it's something that the DOJ needs to entertain. It's not obviously out of the realm of possibility. It happens all the time in criminal investigations. Just do it. Give this thing even more legitimacy, is what I say. Take away one of Donald Trump's biggest talking points. He'll still use it, but it's not going to be as effective against as many people if he just do what he wants right now and reap the benefits later.
I've talked on the show before about how we have dealt with hacking, and it's a terrible feeling. You have to act quickly. The problem can get worse fast if you don't. And I now protect myself with Aura. Aura monitors my email addresses, passwords, bank accounts, credit cards, all of that stuff, and sends me alerts if anything has been compromised. It's identity theft protection and fraud monitoring all wrapped together. Aura continuously monitors the dark web looking for your private info. You get an alert as soon as something is discovered. Aura also does things like alert you if there are suspicious credit inquiries, if someone opens or tries to open an account in your name. I've gotten useful alerts from my Aura app, and I was able to act on them quickly. If you don't have a tool like Aura, I highly recommend it. And when you go to aura.com/Pacman, you will get Aura free for 14 days, which you can use to do things like see if your passwords have been leaked. The link is down below.